America's restaurant industry is cracking like old paint. The prices went up, the portions went down, the service fell apart, and somewhere between inflation, labor shortages, supply chain chaos, and customers simply staying home, entire chains started slipping into a financial spiral they can't climb out of. Drive around your city in 2026 and you'll see it. Dark storefronts, empty parking lots, temporarily closed signs that are never removed, franchise owners drowning in debt. These restaurant giants expanded too fast, took on too much risk, and now they're paying the price. Some of them were icons, some were comfort food staples, some were the place you went at 2 a.m. Now they're fighting for survival. And losing. Let's expose the top 5 restaurant chains collapsing faster than anyone expected before their neon signs disappear for good. 1. Red Lobster, the seafood giant that drowned itself. Walk into a Red Lobster in 2026, and you can feel the collapse before the menu even hits your hands. The dining room echoes, the lights feel too bright, the servers look stretched thin. The tank where the lobsters used to sit is either empty or filled with creatures that seem just as confused as the corporate boardroom. Something is wrong, and everyone knows it. Red Lobster wasn't supposed to fall. This was the Sunday after church favorite, the graduation dinner spot, the treat-yourself seafood chain that defined middle-class celebration. But over the years, the company loaded itself with debt, swapped owners like a used car, gutted its own quality, and then pulled the most disastrous move of all, in the infamous endless shrimp promotion that cost them tens of millions because corporate leadership didn't seem to understand the word endless. It wasn't just a mistake, it was a warning flare. Behind the scenes, franchise owners were drowning in rising food prices. Lobster, shrimp, crab, all skyrocketed. The chain tried to pivot to cheaper ingredients. Customers noticed, dining rooms emptied, reviews tanked, then the closures began. Not quietly, brutally. Whole regions losing their Red Lobster overnight, employees showing up to locks on the doors, suppliers pulling out, landlords suing. Walk into one of the remaining Red Lobsters today, and the atmosphere feels like a restaurant waiting for the lights to go out. The salad bar is gone, the menu is thinner, the prices are higher, the portions smaller, Cheddar Bay biscuits are still free, but everything else feels like it's being rationed. The kitchen runs under constant pressure because corporate keeps cutting hours. The bar looks deserted, the booths show their age. The servers do everything: host, bus, serve. Because the labor budget is microscopic. You can sense the desperation. This is a chain that once had swagger, now it has coupons. Endless coupons. Coupons that feel less like promotions and more like pleas. Meanwhile, the financial reports look like hospital charts. Quarter after quarter of losses. Private equity squeezing out every last dollar. Bankruptcy whispers growing louder. Franchisees begging for relief. Corporate pretending everything is in transition. But you can't transition your way out of a sinking ship. Customers left because the experience changed. Employees left because the wages stagnated. Investors left because the debt piled up. And the seafood industry left Red Lobster behind, raising costs faster than the chain could raise prices. Red Lobster isn't dying because people stopped loving it. It's dying because it forgot what made people love it. And now it sits in a strange limbo, too iconic to disappear overnight, too broken to survive the decade. When the final doors close, it won't feel like the end of a restaurant. It will feel like the end of a cultural era. One last Cheddar Bay biscuit served in an empty dining room, lights humming above a chain that drowned in its own mistakes. 2. Applebee's, the suburban family. Staple nobody visits anymore. Walk into an Applebee's in 2026 and you'll notice something unsettling. Well, the place feels like a time capsule from a decade when people still went out to casual dining restaurants just to sit, talk, and forget about life for a bit. Now the booths sit empty, the bar is half lit, the TVs play sports to no one, and the servers stand quietly at the POS terminals waiting for customers who never come. Applebee's used to be unstoppable. It was the suburban hangout, the spot where teenagers celebrated birthdays, families grabbed dinner after baseball practice, office workers unwound over cheap drinks, and late night crowds showed up for half-priced appetizers like it was a ritual. But that era is over. The chain is being crushed from every direction. Fast food got cheaper and faster. Fast casual got trendier. Delivery apps stole their lifeline. Inflation hit their core customers the hardest. And the middle class, Applebee's bread and butter, is evaporating. The result? A slow motion collapse. The menu prices are higher. The portions smaller, the staffing thinner, the atmosphere emptier. You can feel the struggle in every corner. The walls still have that kitschy decor, old sports photos, local banners, nostalgia slapped up like wallpaper, but now it all just feels tired. The bar that once pulsed with happy hour energy now sits still, illuminated by neon beer signs that shine on vacant stools. The kitchen, once overloaded with orders, now goes long stretches without tickets printing, and when food does come out, it often feels microwaved, under-seasoned, inconsistent, because the chain has cut costs so deeply that quality became a casualty years ago. Meanwhile, franchisees are sounding alarms, profits are thinning, debt is rising, some can't afford required renovations, others simply shut down. Applebee's closures are popping up everywhere. Not in dramatic waves, but quietly, persistently, like lights going out across a fading map. The pandemic didn't help, the recession didn't help, DoorDash didn't help, changing tastes didn't help. Applebee's is trapped between worlds. Too slow to be fast food, too generic to be premium, too expensive for struggling families, too old-fashioned for young diners. The chain keeps trying to reinvent itself. New menus, new deals, new slogans, new limited-time gimmicks. But the customer base isn't fooled. They've already moved on. There's something sad about an Applebee's at dusk. The parking lot nearly empty except for a few aging sedans. The American flag out front barely moving in the wind. The neon sign buzzing above a dining room that once felt alive. Now it feels like a funeral home for casual dining. Applebee's isn't just collapsing. It's fading, slowly, quietly, under the weight of a country that no longer eats out the way it used to. 3. Chili's, the casual dining icon losing the middle class. Walk into a Chili's in 2026, and you can feel the identity crisis the moment the door swings shut behind you. The sizzling fajitas still march out of the kitchen like a theatrical performance. The neon pepper signs still glow with their old confidence, but the rest of the restaurant feels like it's running on muscle memory. Too many empty booths, too many staff members covering 3 jobs, too few customers sitting down for meals that used to feel like small celebrations. Chili's was once the crown jewel of casual dining. Not upscale, not fancy, just reliable comfort food wrapped in a fun, slightly chaotic Tex-Mex package. People came for the molten chocolate cake, the 2 for $25 deal, the chips and salsa that arrived faster than your water. But Chili's didn't just lose customers. The entire demographic it depended on, middle-class families with disposable income, has been shrinking for years. And that's the pressure cooker Chili's can't escape. Inflation hit the exact group that built their business. Parents stopped taking the kids out for dinner. Young couples traded sit-down meals for takeout and Netflix. Workers who once grabbed a beer after their shift now skip it to save money. Chili's tried raising prices, then shrinking portions, then trimming the menu, then cutting staff hours, then bringing in limited time only items nobody asked for. Every move dug the hole deeper. A chain that once felt lively and loud now feels strangely hollow. The bar that used to overflow with after-work crowds now sits half forgotten, glowing blue and red like a spaceship that missed its launch date. Servers walk briskly from table to table, but there are fewer tables than there used to be. Whole sections of the dining room stay dark to save on labor. Even the food tells the story. The burgers look smaller, the fries come in shorter piles, the fajitas still sizzle, but the plate feels lighter. The molten cake is still molten, but the price makes your eye twitch. Behind the scenes, franchise owners are sounding the alarm. Operational costs are up, traffic is down, labor shortages never fully healed, supply chain issues never fully ended, and Chili's sits stuck in the middle. Too expensive to compete with fast food, too casual to justify its dining prices, too outdated to compete with trendier chains, and too corporate heavy to adapt quickly. The pandemic accelerated the decline, the delivery app era carved into their profits, and the economy finished what the last decade started. In some locations, Chili's still feels alive. Loud, warm, familiar, but in many others, the spark is gone. You can feel it in the quiet moments, the long pauses between customers, the employees staring into space, waiting for the next table. Chili's isn't collapsing because people stopped liking it. It's collapsing because people can no longer afford the lifestyle it represents. Casual dining is dying not from bad food, but from a bad economy, and Chili's is one of its clearest casualties. 4. Boston Market, the rotisserie empire running out of time. Walk into a Boston market in 2026, and the first thing you notice is the silence. The second thing you notice is the emptiness. Tables that once overflowed with families grabbing quick comfort food now sit barren. The warm glow of rotisserie ovens replaced by the cold hum of a store waiting for customers who no longer come. The air smells faintly of chicken and nostalgia. The scent of a brand that once ruled the fast casual world but is now unraveling faster than anyone expected. Boston Market didn't just fall behind, it fell apart. In the 90s and early 2000s, Boston Market was unstoppable. The king of home-style meals, the place you went when you wanted Thanksgiving-style comfort without cooking. But that era is long gone. A chain built on hearty rotisserie chicken and mashed potatoes now finds itself crushed by lawsuits, evictions, missing payroll, empty kitchens, and a corporate structure that looks more like a mystery than a business. The warning signs were everywhere. Stores closing overnight, employees showing up to locked doors, vendors going unpaid, health departments stepping in, workers complaining about missing checks. Even loyal customers noticed the shift. Smaller portions, inconsistent quality, slower service, and dining rooms that no longer felt cared for. Walk into a location today and you might find heat lamps with nothing under them, a skeleton crew behind the counter, a menu that's been cut to the bone, food that tastes tired, and behind all this is the financial freefall. Boston Market is drowning in debt. Franchisees are abandoning ship. Landlords are filing lawsuits to evict stores that haven't paid rent in months. States are issuing penalties for unpaid wages and violations. This isn't a company struggling, it's a company disintegrating. Competitors didn't help either. Costco sells rotisserie chicken for less than the cost of a side dish at Boston Market. Grocery stores offer hot meals at half the price. Fast food chains deliver comfort food faster, cheaper, and more consistently. Suddenly, Boston Market wasn't nostalgic, it was outdated. The dining rooms feel like relics of another time. Wooden chairs worn smooth from decades of use. Faded posters advertising seasonal items no one remembers. A soda fountain blinking like it's losing the will to live. Employees notice the decline more than anyone. They talk quietly about hours being cut, food deliveries not arriving, managers quitting without notice. Stores that used to bustle around dinner time now sit nearly empty. The ovens running not for crowds, but to maintain the illusion of normalcy. Boston Market isn't collapsing. It's unraveling piece by piece, closure by closure, payday by payday. The chain that once brought comfort is now clinging to survival by a thread that frays more each month. And unless something miraculous happens, the rotisserie empire that fed millions will fade away not with a bang, but with silent dining rooms and darkened storefronts across America. 5. Steak and Shake, the 24-hour hangout that never recovered. Walk into a Steak and Shake in 2026. If you can still find one open, and you'll feel like you're stepping into a ghost of American late-night culture. The red booths are faded, the chrome accents have lost their shine, the lights buzz quietly over a dining room that once overflowed with teenagers, night shift workers, truckers, and college kids trying to soak up cheap burgers at 2 a.m. Now the restaurant feels abandoned, like it's waiting for the next chapter that never arrives. Steak and Shake didn't just decline, it imploded. For decades, this chain was synonymous with late-night food. Smash burgers, milkshakes, fries, and a 24-hour vibe that made it feel alive even when everything else in town was dark. But behind that neon glow, the company was drowning in debt, franchise drama, mismanagement, legal battles, and a business model that aged faster than the customers it relied on. The first warning came when the 24-hour schedule started disappearing. Then came the closures, hundreds of them. Some closed temporarily, some closed for remodeling, some closed in the middle of the night, some closed and never reopened. Employees showed up to locked doors, customers found stores stripped empty, franchise owners went bankrupt, and the chain's attempt to modernize, it was a disaster. Touchscreen kiosks installed in patches, counter service replacing table service, menus cut to survive rising food costs, quality slipping as corners were cut everywhere. The original charm, diners, servers, classic milkshakes, a real grill experience, evaporated. Steak and Shake tried to become fast food, but it didn't have the speed or the consistency. It tried to become casual dining, but it didn't have the staff or the budget. It ended ended up stranded between two worlds, losing customers from both sides. Inside the surviving locations, you can practically feel the fatigue. Tables uncleaned, kitchens understaffed, managers juggling roles that once took 3 people, a menu that looks like it's been on a diet for years. Even the iconic milkshakes feel like they've lost their spirit. Still cold, still sweet, but served with the energy of a chain running on fumes. Meanwhile, the financial situation reads like a post-mortem. Years of losses, lawsuits piling up, franchisees bailing out, corporate scrambling to sell off assets. The pandemic delivered the final punch. The labor crisis pushed it to the ground. Inflation stomped on what was left. Today, Steak 'n Shake survives in scattered pockets, little islands of nostalgia surrounded by oceans of closed locations. A few stores still feel alive, still carry the old charm, still serve the burgers the way customers remember, but the empire itself is fractured. Steak 'n Shake isn't just collapsing, it's fading into memory. The chain that once fueled road trips, late night hangouts, and teenage adventures is now a relic, a neon sign flickering over empty parking lots across America. Another piece of American dining culture falling quietly into the past, one shuttered store at a time.